Hello everyone, welcome back, and finally tomorrow Barcelona plays PSG, and I'm so excited about this game. I'm sure a lot of people are nervous, excited, and there's so much to talk about around this game, so I just wanted to make a video showing a preview for Barcelona's game against PSG tomorrow. And first off, I just want to say I am confident in Barcelona, and I think Barcelona can put up a good performance in this game. It's definitely not going to be easy because PSG is a great team, they have a great coach, they have the best player in Europe in Mbappe, and also they haven't lost a game since December, so of course it's not going to be an easy game for Barcelona to go to Paris and get a result, but I'm still confident in the team, and I think they can play well tomorrow. And I think since Xavi has been appointed as the head coach, in games like this, I can see him playing pretty defensive. I could see him possibly playing with four midfielders, or maybe he plays Rafinha as a left winger. That's some stuff that I wanted to talk about today, the expected lineup and the players that I think that are going to be playing for Barcelona. Of course, with Frenkie de Jong and Pedri possibly coming back, those are also important players that could come into the first team for Barcelona tomorrow. In the most important game for Barcelona in the past couple years, there's just so much to talk about, so I'm going to do all of that in this video. And really, how Xavi goes into that game, a lot is going to depend on the fitness levels of Frenkie de Jong and Pedri, because having even one of those players in your team, it's going to change the way that Barcelona play, it's going to change the way that they line up, and for me, I think it's much more likely that Frenkie de Jong would start this game rather than Pedri. I don't feel like Pedri is going to be ready to start this game, and given his injury record, you just don't want to rush him back into a game. And it was nice to see both Frenkie de Jong and Pedri in the squad, but it doesn't mean that either one of those players is going to play. Maybe it could just be mind games from Xavi. He knows that they're not 100% match fit, but he doesn't want PSG to know that because, of course, the game plan, if Frenkie de Jong and Pedri, even one of them are healthy, it's going to change for PSG as well, and those are some of the best midfielders in the world, so even having them in the squad and maybe a possibility of seeing them play for Barcelona tomorrow, that's very important. And again, PSG is a great team. They have Mbappe. Of course, it's going to be so difficult to play against him. And of course, Dembele playing against Barcelona after he left in the summer. There are a lot of stories around this game. And overall, I'm just so excited to watch this game tomorrow. And then going into the lineup that I expect Xavi to play tomorrow, of course, Ter Stegen is going to be in goal, and I think he's going to have a big game. He's going to have to make a couple big saves for Barcelona tomorrow. Of course, playing in Paris against a really great informed PSG team, of course, he's going to have to be active. That is not going to be a boring game for him. And then at right back, there have been a lot of discussions whether Koundé is going to play there or Araujo is going to start at right back and Koundé would move to center back. But for me, I would rather Barcelona play their strongest 11. And I think that strongest 11, it is Koundé at right back and Araujo at center back. And I know that Araujo in 1v1 defending scenarios, he is great. And sometimes in Clásicos, he moves to play right back. But I would rather Barcelona play their strongest 11. And I feel like that's with Koundé at right back. And I think he will be able to at least try and control Mbappe. Of course, that's a big ask for any player. In terms of 1v1 scenarios, Mbappe is one of the most dangerous players in that area, but I still think Araujo at center back, it's the best scenario for Barcelona, in my opinion. But, of course, I could understand Araujo moving to right back just to try and minimize the impact that Mbappe has, but still, for me, I think Koundé is going to be playing there tomorrow. And then, of course, moving into the center backs, it's going to be Araujo, and then I think his partner is going to be Pau Cubarsí because I just think he's played so well. He's been one of the most important players for Barcelona, and especially against a high press from PSG, I think his distribution is going to be very important tomorrow. And of course, after that performance he had against Napoli, it's basically a guarantee that he is going to be starting tomorrow. And for me, that has been the best center back pairing is Araujo and Cubarsí because I think the attributes that both of them have, they really pair well together. And I just think you want your best two center backs starting in this game, of course. And with Christensen moving into the midfield, I think it's very likely that we're going to see Araujo and Cubarsí as the two center backs tomorrow. And then at left back is a very interesting question because, of course, if it was a normal La Liga game, of course Cancelo is going to be starting. He's the best left back that Barcelona have. He's the best fullback, really, that the club has. And, sometimes his defensive liabilities, yeah, they hurt Barcelona, but I think what he gives going forward, it definitely outweighs the negatives defensively. But it's Dembele against Cancelo, and I think that's going to be a very difficult matchup for Cancelo tomorrow. And I think it's possible that Xavi has discussed the idea of playing Inigo Martinez in that position, or as well as Hector Ford, because I think defensively Hector Ford is better than Cancelo. But I feel like in a big game, in a knockout stage game, Cancelo, he will be starting. I have a feeling that he's going to be starting, but to be honest, I will be keeping an eye out for that matchup, Cancelo versus Dembele, because in 1v1 situations, Cancelo is not the best defensively, and he just sometimes goes too far forward. And if it's Dembele against three defenders, Barcelona are in for a very long day. So Cancelo, he's going to have a great game defensively, and he's not going to get that same freedom going forward tomorrow. And then moving into the midfield, of course, Christensen is going to be starting as Barcelona's defensive midfielder, and rightly so. I think he's made such a great impact on Barcelona since he moved into the midfield, and really in the past couple weeks, the past month that he's been playing in that position, Barcelona's team looks completely different, really because of him, because he's just providing so much more stability and more control in the midfield. And then another guaranteed starter in the midfield is İlkay Gündoğan. I think he has been Barcelona's most consistent player this season, such a good signing, and of course, in a game like this, 100%, no doubt about it, he's one of the first names that you write on the team sheet, and I hope Gündoğan has a very good game tomorrow. And then moving into the next midfielder, that's where it gets interesting for me because it depends on the fitness levels of Frenkie de Jong and Pedri. And like I said, I don't think Pedri's going to start tomorrow. I think it's much more likely that we see Frenkie de Jong starting. But is he 100% match fit? Is he in match rhythm to be starting in this crucial game against PSG? When Fermin Lopez, in that game against Napoli, he was impressive and he scored the goal for Barcelona that was very important. But to me, if Frenkie de Jong is 100% match fit, I would be starting him in this game. For me, I would not be surprised if he is in the starting lineup, and then the midfield would be Christensen, Gündoğan, and Frenkie de Jong. And for me, that looks like a great midfield, but I wouldn't be against Fermin Lopez starting because I know it's what, Barcelona and Xavi have to do. I could see possibly Roberto starting that position as well, but I think if Frenkie de Jong is 100% match fit, of course, he would be the player starting in that position. And then another interesting question that I feel like I talk about in every video is Xavi going to play with 4 midfielders, or is he going to play with 3 attackers? And, the next position, that depends on that, because if Frenkie de Jong is fit, then I could also see Fermin Lopez starting as, a false left wing, where Barcelona really don't play with a left winger, they just have another midfielder. And I could see that being a decent idea because you want more control, you want more dominance in the midfield. But my issue is sometimes Barcelona, they feel a little bit too pinned back and they're not able to really attack the other team. I feel like Xavi in bigger games, he has played a little bit safer. He's played a little bit more defensive because he wants that stability in the midfield. So I definitely could see Fermin Lopez starting as the left winger for Barcelona. And of course, if Pedri is 100% fit, he would probably play with 4 midfielders just to get the most out of the team. But like I said, I feel like that's pretty unlikely. And for me, in the left wing position, I think Rafinha, with the performance that he had against Napoli, I think he deserves a start in that position. And I've said before that I do not want Rafinha playing in that left wing position because I just don't think it gets the best out of his abilities, and he doesn't look as comfortable on that side. But that game against Napoli, he did prove me wrong, and I think he did show that he is able to be used in that position and find a way to impact the game. I feel like there are so many instances where Rafinha, he does decide a game. He gets the goal or the assist that really changes the game for Barcelona, and I think, overall sometimes maybe a little bit frustrating to watch. And again, on that left side, he's not as effective, but I just think maybe that's what Barcelona needs right now is a hard-working player on that left-hand side that can make an impact on Barcelona's attack. And I feel like in terms of likely scenarios for this starting lineup, I think Rafinha would be very likely to start, but then I could also see Xavi playing with 4 midfielders, and then below that, in terms of likeliness, I don't think Joao Felix is going to be starting this game because I just don't think he gives enough off the ball to warrant a start because, Rafinha, I do see him somewhat as a left mid in this scenario because he drops back so well and he works so hard off the ball. So I don't think it's taking a big risk to put him on the left wing. I just feel like he would still be able to find a way to impact the side defensively and cover a lot of ground for other players. I think it's more likely that he would be starting at left wing tomorrow. And then moving up top, of course, Lewandowski is going to be starting tomorrow. And, I've had some complaints about him this season, but I just think his form in the past couple weeks, the last month, it's really stepped up. It's looked like the old Lewandowski that we saw at the beginning of last season. And, of course, he's going to be starting this game. You want your big players to be starting. And in that game against Napoli, he did show up very well for Barcelona. So I'm really excited to see. Hopefully he has a good performance tomorrow. Then on the right, Lamine Yamal is going to be starting, and he has been one of Barcelona's most important players this season. And in some games, he's really the only enjoyable player to watch for Barcelona. No offense to the other players. I just think that tells how important he is for Barcelona. And that performance that he had for Spain against Brazil, it just shows everything that he can bring to the team. And you got to be starting him in Barcelona's most important game this season. And there are a lot of big 1v1 matchups tomorrow. And Koundé versus Mbappe, that's going to be a big matchup for Barcelona. And Koundé, he's going to have a difficult game tomorrow, of course. It's not going to be easy because he's not going to have that much freedom to go far forward. He can't really make that many mistakes, and he's coming up against one of the most lethal 1v1 players in the world. And, Mbappe, he's so difficult to defend against, and you can't lay your eyes off him for a second. And so Koundé, of course, that's going to be a very important matchup for Barcelona tomorrow. And another big matchup for Barcelona is going to be Lamine Yamal versus Nuno Mendes. And I think Nuno Mendes is a great left back. I think defensively, he's very difficult to get around. And Lamine Yamal, he's a very exciting player. He's a young winger. He doesn't have that much experience. I think, tomorrow a lot relies on him being able to have some freedom and create some chances for Barcelona. So it's not going to be an easy matchup for him. but I think he has the talent to go at Nuno Mendes and create some chances for Barcelona and play with that excitement and freedom that we've seen this entire season. And then the other big matchup opposite of Koundé and Mbappe is going to be Cancelo versus Dembele. And, Dembele was sometimes a frustrating player to watch, and his end product, it wasn't always there, but what he brings to the field is so much more important than, the one goal that he scored for PSG this season. He's such a difficult player to defend against, and he just creates chances by himself. He creates chances out of nothing, and Cancelo, yeah, he's got his hands full tomorrow because Dembele, in terms of players you don't want to defend against, Dembele is up there for one of the players you just do not want to face 1v1 in Europe. I think that's another reason why Rafinha would play on the left because he does drop back very well. He can help Cancelo out in that area, and that's just a really important matchup because Dembele, he's just 1v1. He's so difficult to defend against, and Cancelo, he's just not going to have that freedom to go far forward because if he gets caught out, Dembele needs one chance. He's such a great player, and I know a lot of Barcelona fans, they question his consistency, his output, but he's such a good player, and it's going to be very difficult for Cancelo tomorrow. For me, my biggest concerns would be Xavi. I hope he doesn't play too defensively because I feel like sometimes when that happens, yes, there's more stability in the midfield, but I just think Barcelona's attack suffers because you don't really have runners in behind, you don't have an outlet, and sometimes I feel like Barcelona, maybe they're just going to be too pinned back if they play too defensively. But again, I think it's likely that Rafinha is going to be the left winger, so I don't feel like Xavi is going to play with four midfielders tomorrow, but that's my opinion, and I definitely could be wrong about that. And I don't think four midfielders is bad when you have players like Gavi, Frenkie de Jong, and Pedri, but, right now, you just have Gundogan and Christensen. Those are your two guaranteed starters in the midfield, and so I think Rafinha, he deserves to start in this game, and I would like to see him on that left-hand side, even though that's not his preferred position. Sometimes, he looks a little bit confused where to go in that role because he's just not used to playing on that side, and he's much more effective on the left, but I still think he can find a way, just like in that game against Napoli, to make an impact on this match. Like I said, another thing I'm worried about is the fullback matchup. They have such great wingers, Mbappe and Dembele on both sides, and it's going to be a difficult game for Barcelona. There are no doubts about it. It's not going to be easy. PSG has a great high press, but I think players like Kubarsi and Christensen, they are going to help in that regard. And, they haven't lost a game since December, but I still feel confident in Barcelona. I still think Barcelona have a great team. They're in a good run of form, so I'm confident going into the game tomorrow. And I know some fans have talked about how nerve-wracking this game is, but I'm just really excited. And, you think when the lights are brightest, only the best teams and the best players, they shine. Those are the ones that, they find a way in these big moments to show up for their team. And this is a big chance. This is a big opportunity for Barcelona, and I'm just really excited to see them play tomorrow. And I believe in the team going into the game tomorrow, and thank you all for watching my video. I really do appreciate it. I hope we all enjoy this game tomorrow, Barcelona versus PSG. It's one of the biggest games that, the most excited I've been for Barcelona in a very long time, and I'm just really excited to see Barcelona's performance, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and see you all tomorrow. Visca Barca. Peace.